Well, thank you very much, everybody, for being here, and thanks to Jaxon and his team for putting on a conference and allowing us to present. First things first, Southern Cross Gold, not Southern Cross Western Australia. I'm an Essendon supporter. I feel like I'm encroaching into Freo's cheer squad to talk about the wonders of Victorian gold in this state. Our Managing Director, Michael Hudson, is away on Southern Cross business overseas, so he apologises that he couldn't be here. And we're in booth 9, so afterwards, if you'd like to come and say hello, please do. There's the usual disclaimer, which you can read at your own leisure. I've put down a QR code of the 3D presentation that you'll see in a few minutes. That allows you to get in and play around with it to your own desires. So, Southern Cross Gold, and why am I agitating in Western Australia? Because Victoria and the Golden Mile are the two most significant gold fields in Australia. Over in Victoria, though, we're doing things just a little bit differently in recent times, and it's been dominated by the Fosterville and Costerfield mines, which I'll describe as the two of the top 10 highest grade gold mines in the world, and then we're running in behind them fairly quickly. The Victorian golden era was the 19th century, as you know, with the gold rush and so on. The 21st century in Victoria has actually been dominated by the Canadians, again, which I'll show fairly soon. But one reason why we spun out of a Canadian company was to put some assets in Victoria into the hands of Australian shareholders. So who are we, or what have we got? We've got a large footprint on what we believe will be a large deposit. So Sunday Creek, we own 100%. We've got more than a 10-kilometre footprint of mineralised trend at Victoria. We've already got exceptional results, which I'll show you, which demonstrate the depth, the grade and the width of our property, Sunday Creek. We've got a 30-kilometre program of diamond drilling targeted for this year. And we also have a strategic byproduct, which is antimony, and I'll touch on antimony, which is one of these critical minerals that are becoming more important as every balloon crosses Western countries going forward. So Southern Cross, we're listed on the ASX, SXG. We spun out of a Canadian company called Mawson Gold, had our IPO in May last year and became the third best IPO of 2022, which we're very happy about. Mawson Gold remains our largest shareholder at 51%. They're escrowed until May next year, which gives us a fairly tight structure. Market cap of roughly $130 million at the moment. We've got probably about $17 million in the bank today, which gives us enough money to fulfil our strategy. And we own a 10% stake in a company called Nagambie Resources, also listed on the ASX, and that 10% ownership gives us the right of first refusal over more than 3,000 square kilometres in central Victoria in their tenements. Now, getting back to Victoria, so Victoria is one of the major goldfields of the world, and as you may know, more than 80 million ounces have been extracted out of Victoria already since the gold rush of the 1850s. And so alongside the Golden Mile, Victoria generally is one of the two major goldfields of Australia. We control 3 of 9 historic epizonal goldfields, 100% of the Sunday Creek property. I'm not the geologist, I'm a Latin American person, so what do I know about rocks? But what I do know is that there are 2 different styles of gold events that happened in Victoria. An older style called Mesozonal, and that's your Bendigo, that's your Ballarat, and that's where the majority of the gold came out of Victoria in the gold rush days. That's a nuggety, refractory style of gold. And what we have in our Melbourne zone, which is what I'm about to talk to you about, is a free gold. It's a disseminated gold, and it's a younger gold event. It's 70 million years younger than this Mesozonal style. And the 2 gold mines that I'm highlighting on this particular graphic here, which we've got, is the Fosterville mine and the Costerfield mine, are 2 of the top 10 gold mines in the world. In fact, Fosterville is the highest grade gold mine in the world. You walk down Collins Street and people on Collins Street don't know that. And not only is it one of the highest gold mine in the world, but is also a significant producer at 500,000 ounces in 2021. But the problem is, well, not the problem, but one of the issues are that both of those two gold mines are owned by Canadians, Agnico, Eagle and Mandalay, Fosterville and Costerfield respectively. And they came in around about 6 to 7 years ago and have dominated the Victorian scene. Since then, the profits and the information doesn't really stay in Australia, let alone Victoria, but goes out to Canada. Now, here's a different style of picture of two different gold events in Victoria. The orange, these are all exploration drill results from the past 6 to 7 years. The orange is everybody else other than Southern Cross Gold. And what you see in this top left-hand corner is these large dots, which are grade times width, so the size of the hit, across fairly narrow intercepts along the x-axis, and then not very deep, going down the hole. That's your traditional Mesozonal style deposit. What we've done with our 50+ drill holes so far has demonstrated that we're getting these widths way out beyond what traditional Victoria is, and they're also going down deeper. Now, the similarity between us and these two high-grade gold mines is there. Those two have got similar sort of characteristics, being in the same gold event 400 odd million years ago. Okay, Mawson Gold picked up the assets in January 2020, and so when they came along, there was already 5 plus 100 gram metre intercepts at the property, which is why we were interested in it. Mawson then had only one drill rig in the first few years up until our IPO at about here. It was also drilling the other two properties that we've got, which I'll quickly touch on. So we still got ourselves, Mawson got 6 intercepts in that period. But then as we IPO'd in May last year, you can see that we have increased the speed of the drilling because we now have 3 drill rigs on site. But the important thing is in the last 2 months of last year, we really started hitting these high-grade intercepts consistently. As the geological team have become more knowledgeable on the style of the deposit, the structure of it, and know where to hit those big intercepts. Just another way, each time we put out a release with a 100+ gram metre intercept, we were getting on this minor deck top 10, maybe some of you have seen it before. These are reported intercepts by companies on the ASX anywhere in the world, and we have in the last 9 months been on there 10 times. So this is stacking up on a global fashion as well. Now this is where we get into the 3D model. Okay, so just again a bit of regional geology. The green area, that's that Mesozonal style gold that I spoke to you about, the older style, Bendigo, Ballarat. And then in the east of this map is the Melbourne zone, which is where we're located and where Fosterville and Costerfield located as well. If we go underneath, the structure that is feeding into the Melbourne zone is this area here called the Selwyn block, and that's basically just the source of all the fluids that are coming up to create these epizonal style gold fields. So now we're just going to zoom into the region a little bit more. The yellow dots are again older style Mesozonal occurrences in central Victoria, and the blue are the epizonals. Now, I'm going to be talking about this particular deposit down the south. That's Sunday Creek, which we own 100%, where we've been doing all our drilling. We do have 2 joint venture properties, Redcastle and RIU. And as I mentioned, that they're with joint venture with Nagambie. And as I mentioned, we own 10% in Nagambie. And so this particular area out here is the southern part of the 3,000 odd square kilometres that we've got of right of first refusal over the Nagambie tenements. Again, just taking out those yellow Mesozonal style occurrences, we're now left with the epizonal style. So as I mentioned, there are 9 historic epizonal gold fields in Victoria. We control 3 of them. and 2 of the other 6 are the Fosterville, highest grade gold mine in the world, and Costerfield, 7th highest grade gold mine in the world. Costerfield being quite literally 2 kilometres away from our Redcastle joint venture property. But I'm going to concentrate on Sunday Creek, where we're doing all our drilling at the moment. And so we own this 100%. And there are 2 trends within that cut across the property, but I'm just going to worry about the Sunday Creek trend. And so from down in the southwest here, where we're doing our drilling, all the way up to this particular intersection at the end of our property, that's 11 kilometres of trend. Okay, so just remember that, because there's plenty of upside going forward. We're drilling in just 800 metres down the southwest. So as we zoom in, this is a LiDAR. Some of you may have heard about LiDAR. It cuts through topography, so you can see the actual, or it cuts through the forest, so you can see the topography of the land. And also we've been doing soil samples. We've done over 1,000 soil samples across that 11 kilometre stretch. As I mentioned, I think I mentioned, we own the freehold actually of the drilling area that we are operating at the moment, and that freehold that we own is roughly that area there. Next door to us is a family that own a quarrying business, so they generally understand the mining sector. And then the rest of it, all the way up here along that 10 kilometre stretch, is state forest, government owned. So in other words, in that 11 kilometre area, there's 3 landowners. We know all 3 landowners. We like all 3 landowners. We get along with all 3 landowners at the moment. We get to drill 12 months a year, and we can drill wherever we want, pretty much anywhere we want. The Victorian government, surprisingly, is very progressive in exploration permitting. So long as we don't cut any tree, it's, as I said, mainly state forest, so long as we don't cut any tree which is any bigger than our arm, then we're allowed to go wherever we want, giving them 2 weeks advance notice. So I'll now just zoom in to our drill area as it is today. I've got 1.2 kilometres here. Essentially though, we are drilling in about an 800 metre area from west to east. And now if I get to be a bit tricky, I'm going to zoom in a bit. What I mentioned is that we've got 11 kilometres of stretch, east-west breccia zone, cutting across them northwest structures, and that are these little areas. These little areas here is historic mining where these northwest structures hit across the east-west host rock. 50 holes drilled already, 9 holes in the assay lab, which are the yellow. A couple of drill results just very quickly. Down here we've got 5 metres at 36 and then 36 at 7. I could go in, but I'm losing time. Very quickly, we have 25 vein sets in this particular area, which you can see here in the yellow. And they're all that northwest trend, which is where all the mineralisation occurs. The green is the host rock. This is the breccia dike that we have that cuts across the entire property. All the mineralisation happens within that rock as those northwest structures come across it. And then very quickly, that goes all the way up to 10 kilometres. A very exciting opportunity for us. Antimony, critical mineral. I'll talk about it when you come and see me at the booth. Chinese balloons, things like that are only going to help antimony going forward. So thank you very much.